Welcome to Highschooler's Quest for Peace. Today, I, Dai Matsuzaka, will be interviewing the Japanese Consul-General of Calgary, Mr. Uchida. Hi, Mr. Uchida.
Hello, how
It
are
is a
you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How about you yourself?
Thank you very much.
Ah, great. It is a pleasure to have you here today to do an interview, and it really is a wonderful opportunity. So I'd love to get started.
Oh, yes,
Um,
I'm
to
very
begin,
pleased to have, yes, thank you.
thank you so much. I was wondering if you could share a little bit about some memories, um, perhaps, of when how you would spend your summertime as a child.
Hmm. I see. Yes, I'm come from Tokyo, and when I was a child, there are still some, greeneries and some rivers or fields, even in the Tokyo area. So during the summer, we have almost 40 days holidays from the school, and I used to get up early in the morning and go out of the house and catch the insects and beetles and butterflies, grasshoppers, and these insects, and coming back to home. And also, I'm really enjoying swimming in the pool and of the school. And these kind of things I remember that I did, daily during the summer holidays. And also, the summer is a time for the family to go out of hometown to outside of hometown and enjoy nature and to make a few days trip. And that was I still remember that we went out to Tokyo to enjoy the surrounding natures and so on and so forth. And also sometimes, I'm come from Tokyo, but my mother comes from the other part of Japan, and she used to go back to home city with me, so I'm very amazed when I went back to her hometown in the southern part of Japan, and that was a totally different, the surroundings and environments and beautiful nature, and much more insects than in Tokyo. So I still remember that I had a very, very nice, trip to this countryside in Japan. So for me, the summer was the season to give me very, very, joy and freedom, and so I have lots of fond memories.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you for sharing. It's just I love how you cherish these memories of Japan back then and the countryside in your hometown. That's so beautiful, really. Thank you for sharing.
Right.
And I'd love to get started on to the core of this interview now.
Mm.
A couple questions now here. This is
Yes.
one of the questions. I was wondering if you could tell me what values you uphold as a leader in a diplomatic position.
Mm. Yeah, I'm now Consul-General of Japan in Calgary, and I'm a leader of a team stationed in this place. And yes, yes, I tried, first of all, as a leader of this team, to be good listeners. So, because first of all, I think it's very important to hear the different kind of opinions and ideas from my staff and other people, and gathering different kind of information. That is maybe the first important step. And then to making a decision which is balanced and long-term perspective, and taking account many different things, and these kind of things, maybe the second step. And then to implement this decision, I try to be bold to implement this decision. We used to say that prepare things very carefully like devil, and implement the decision boldly like angel. So that's what we used to say, job implementation. So I try to make a decision carefully, but implement things boldly. And also the final step is also important to review what we have done, and to know that what went well and what went wrong, honestly and frankly, and to use these kind of experiences for the next occasion. So I think that these kind of things I'm trying to make it rule as a leader of a team, to have a good job in this consulate and as a team.
Right. So you value the listening and then the action, the boldness of action, and also the feedback then of the groups then acquire a strong team and leadership.
Yeah, that's right. But
Wow.
this is not necessarily limited to our diplomatic mission. This is same thing maybe for you in your school and in other workplace, and but basically I think these steps are very important. It's very easy to say, but sometimes it's quite difficult to do. So I try make it rule to think about these things always, to have a good job together in a team. Yes.
Because in a further globalizing society, and there's multiculturalism everywhere, and listening is the first key step to understanding, but we need bold action to make sure that there's the proper opinions are heard, but also feedback to include. That's a great philosophy. I really do. I thank you for sharing that with me today. Wonderful. I can't. I'm very excited for the next couple of questions.
Yes.
Yes. This one, it's a big question, so I'm going to read it out loud. In a world where people of various cultures and ideologies exist, how can we achieve an era of mutual understanding and ultimately peace?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a very big question, and but I think that the first step should be to recognize the differences in the world. There are so many different people, different countries, different cultures, different religions, different ideas, and so on and so forth. So I think first step should be to recognize the differences. And in order to do that, we must see the facts, and we must know the situation, and to recognize the difference. That is maybe first step to which we must think about that. And then I think that based on this recognition of the differences, to try to find out some kind of common things. I think, for example, common values or common, for example, whether Christian or Muslim or Buddhist, we think, maybe all of us become really impressed by when we see the beautiful nature, or maybe we feel love to other people, and these kind of things are quite common in whether which kind of religion we believe. So I think that we can find out some common values, like very fundamental part. That is maybe one thing, and also we can find out common challenges or common agendas. For example, we have been fighting against COVID-19 the last 1.8 months, and that is a common enemy, right, for the all humankind on the globe. So we must be united to fight against these common enemy. So we can be united. And that is maybe the second thing. And also, it's very important to find out some common interests. So based on the common value, and we can find out common challenges, and we can maybe find out some common interest for each of us. So then we can find out something common. That is a very important thing to enhance, to get some understanding, even if we are quite different. So these steps are very important to proceed this kind of complicated situation. And so that's, for example, extreme case. We cannot agree anything, but in order to show our the forward-looking attitude, there's a wisdom to say that we can agree to disagree, right? So only disagreements. There are no further step, but we can find out some agreements, right? But it's very, very ironical to say that agree to disagree, but it's a sort of wisdom to say that we can find some kind of common ground. So maybe we can, these steps seems very small steps, but getting together, we can go further, even if the way, if the road is very long, we can find out some solution, and we can find out some hope, I think.
So if I had interpreted your words correctly, you believe that the recognition of differences first can then build a foundation to understanding what are we, the common ground, what do we have in common, whether it be religion or the ideology or virtues, and
Yes.
also understanding then the common conflicts and problems that we face to create an agreement of, even if it's just agreeing to disagree, we can understand that there's something that we can both understand. Is that right?
That's right. That's important to have this kind of way of thinking. Of course, we can, there you are different. Then, if that is only end of things, that's nothing will happen, right? So based on these differences, we try to find some common grounds. That is, I think, what we are trying to do to connect different kind of as I mentioned, that so many differences in the world. So I think that we have to be maybe forward-looking, and I think to be optimistic, to find out something common, even if it seems that it's very, very difficult. I think that is very important attitude.
Yes, for sure, right? Because when we are trying to understand common virtues between people, there's always an underlying optimism because you're believing that there might be something that we can both agree on. Is that right?
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
powerful.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
I think it's now many people suffered by this COVID-19. I mean, physically and mentally, and people used to feel isolation and frustration and difficulties. But in order to fight against these, the common enemy, we must be united. And I think that's very important to have a sense to be connected. Even if the the COVID-19, divided the world into different pieces, but that's why it's very important to have the sense to be connected and sense to be united.
I see. It's almost like a driving force for understanding and peace. Then, in that sense, to find that optimism.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, the COVID-19 is not welcome. Of course, we don't want to have this kind of enemy. But when we have this kind of common challenges, not only COVID-19, but also, for example, climate change or global issues, I think that many countries must cooperate, and many citizens must cooperate and to be united, and to feel solidarity to fight against these common agenda, common challenges. That's important, I think.
Right, right. Thank you for sharing that. That's very powerful in that I'm learning a lot about internationalism right now in school and about
Mm,
how countries have been interacting with each other and how first there was a lot of a war between countries as technology developed, as people began to interact with one another, but then through that common conflict of say the consequences of what war may bring, uh,
mm,
the United Nations was built, and there were treaties signed for decided that we need to create an era of peace, right? And in that sense,
mm,
then everything that you said is supported, and it really acts as a thesis to what how history has been and how then we can act from now on. So thank you for
mm,
sharing that so much. Thank you.
yes.
I love to ask this question now because
Oh, yeah.
I think I got a lot about concepts that would bring peace. But the next question is more about us. And I'm going to read it here. How can we actively participate in peace building in our daily lives? Additionally, how can we foster a culture of peace? That's a big
Mm.
question, too, but
Yeah, that's also a very great question, and very big question. Uh, I think that to reach this the peace in the world, I think our individuals should have mindset, to go the very long way, but we must start with one first step. So I think each of us in daily life, there are many things to learn and experience and so on and so forth. So I think that we to achieve this peace in the world, each of us to be more generous, and to be more tolerant, and to be more broad-minded in our daily life. So many things we can do every day. I think that first of all, I think it's very important to see the facts, to learn the situation. But maybe you can nowadays, you can use internet and also many technologies to get know the situation in all of the world. But I think that first of all, we must know what is going on really. And then we try to be, to try to experience things by ourselves, and based on this knowledge and experience, maybe we can get some kind of basic and think about what is wrong and what's right and these kind of things. So I think it seems a very, very long way to reaching the peace in the world, but there are many things we can do in daily life.
for sure. I heard a lot about, I think, understanding others and being tolerant. And
Mm,
hence, then, could that mean that a cultural peace perhaps then encompasses compassion, for example?
mm,
That,
yes,
yeah, I see, I see, I
yes.
see.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's very important, basic. Of course, international relations are played by state, but not only by the state, but also many, many other players, like the companies, organizations, or university or schools, and each of individuals. So I think that all of us can play many roles, and also important role to join this kind of idea for the peace.
Thank you so much for sharing this. I feel that with the use of things like social media, recently people start posting their own ideologies and Black Lives Matter movement. I think that was a great
Mm,
example of this, where people, the citizens, kind of rose up in power to
mm,
uh, create change, right? And I feel that there could be the exact same thing with aspects of peace. And I feel Black Lives Matter was also a big aspect of a large encompassing factor
mm,
of peace, right? And
mm.
yeah, I think it's a powerful thing there, but
Yes, I think so. Yes, nowadays, thanks to these, as you mentioned, that social media and also internet and these kind of things, individuals have a power to express more, and so that is so the people are more empowered to express their opinions, right? So I think we can utilize these technological developments, and at the same time we must be a bit careful or to select what is right and what is wrong, what is wrong misinformation or the right information. There are so many information, the flood of information, floods, right? So we can express more, but the receiver must be very careful to to select what is important, what is right, and what is wrong, what is misinformation, and so on and so forth.
right. So also having that eye of judgment, be able to figure out the truth of a situation,
Mm,
right?
right.
I
Yes.
see. It's I feel that before there was less confusion too when there'd be events, large events, because when something happens, people have their own opinions and interpretations of what happened, and then post what they believe happened, and getting very different
Mm,
viewpoints on the same thing. So what actually happened, right? Yes, for sure, for sure.
mm,
I
mm.
I would love to lead into this next question because it really ties
Yes.
it all together. And I was wondering because as a high schooler, I also
Mm,
want to create change. I want to become a part of society and do my
mm,
part in my way that I can. And I know that
mm,
you as a diplomat, I would
mm,
love to follow that kind of path where you have a direct
mm.
you're there to create that connection, right? With peace.
Mm.
And hence
Yes. Try. We are trying to do that.
right, right. So that's something that I would love to do. And maybe it's not becoming a diplomat specifically, but that kind of
Mm,
stance in society, right? And
mm,
so I wanted to ask you what the key factor in where it lies in these humanitarian efforts.
mm. Yeah, it's also a very good question, and yes, I think that if I can provide you some advice that for as young people, that first of all, as I mentioned, that it's very important to get some kind of common sense. And what is common sense? This is very difficult. What is common sense? The many one person said that this one is common sense, but other people said that it's not common sense. So in order to get common sense, I think we must learn first. We must get knowledge and experiences, and I think it's better to have first-hand knowledge and first-hand experiences. That's very important. Of course, you can get information from the internet and newspapers and TV and mass media and social media and so on and so forth. But first, I think that it's very important for you as young people, as you, to get some kind of first-hand information and first-hand experiences. That is one thing very important. So it's important to do, I think. And also, but learn something is not only in the classroom or not only in the libraries. right? You can learn many things in society, many things in the field, and many experiences through your social life, and so on and so forth. Not only in the classroom, but also in the outside of your schools, you can experience many things. So I think that's the first, hand information and experience is very important. And also, I think to be to have a curiosity in many things. Oh, that's interesting. That sense is very important to keep. And it might be, of course, some study, or it might be sports, or arts, or music, whatever, right? So it's very, important to make your life richer and also make your future more, broad, with more broad possibilities. So I think that is also important. And also, in addition to that, I would like to point out that the importance of to have a critical thinking. As I mentioned, that there are so flood of information and many things, right, around you. And of course, there are some things which can be taken as granted, but they are not always like this. I think it's important to have a critical thinking, critical eyes. So you don't have to be always skeptical, right? But I think when you get something, you can have a little bit critical eyes, critical way of thinking, critical thinking. That is, I think, it's very important. You are the person who can judge, and in order to judge something, you must have the common sense. So in order to do that, you must learn many things. So to young people as yourself, I would like to first of all to have more broad, knowledge and experience and way of thinking. And I'm sure that these things can be a great help for your future.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing this. So if I were to do a little, I'm trying to organize what you've told me in a way that I understand. First, the common sense is important, correct? Common sense then is built with the stance of learning and curiosity, which also fosters critical thinking skills. And these skills are what become key to humanitarian efforts. Is that right?
Yes, I think so. Because of course, to learn things, you can hear other opinions, and you can read books and so on and so forth. But I think that you must think about that. That's you who is a person to decide. So in order to do that, you must have some tools to make a decision, right? So that's maybe this process is very important, and I'm very envious to the young people as you to have this kind of possibility to learn many new things, and because you can do that, you have a flexibility, you have a fresh sense. And I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, that to have a forward-looking attitude and to be optimistic, I think that's the privilege of the young people to maintain. Of course, you have many, difficulties and problems and headaches and in your school life and so on and so forth. I understand that, but still you have an energy to overcome these, the hurdles. So I would like to say that, so be ambitious and be optimistic, and you can do that. That's what I would like to say to the young people as you.
Oh, that's very, it's words from the heart. I really appreciate those words. Thank you so much. And I think that this concludes our interview. So thank you so much for this time today. I appreciate every word you said. Everything here will be on the video, and I hope that a lot of people are to see this. Thank you so much one more time for.
Yeah, I really wish you the best luck to you, and I wish you happiness and best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.